Dear students, welcome back. So, you would have watched the lesson, The Shipwrecked Sailor, on the Victor's channel. And in that, it was told that it's a story about a voyage. So, what is a voyage? A voyage is a journey made through sea. കടലിലൂടെയുള്ള യാത്രയ്ക്കാണ് voyage എന്ന് പറയുക. And this story is a voyage from Mobile in San Francisco in USA to Colombia. And the ship which was traveling from Mobile to Colombia was destroyed in the sea. അത് കടലിൽ നശിപ്പിക്കപ്പെടുകയാണ് by the strong winds. I think you would have seen the film The Titanic, in which you see a ship going down under the sea. ടൈറ്റാനിക് എന്ന സിനിമയിൽ ഒരു കപ്പൽ കടലിൻ്റെ അടിയിലേക്ക് പോകുന്നത് നിങ്ങൾ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ടാവാം. So here also this is the same case. The ship is destroyed in the sea. So now let's come to our lesson, a shipwrecked sailor. My first impression was that I was utterly alone in the middle of the ocean. The ship plunged into an abyss and disappeared. I had no idea what was happening. I took hold of one of the bobbing crates and stupidly began to contemplate the sea. It was a perfectly clear day, except for the choppy waves produced by the wind and the cargo scattered across the surface. There was no evidence of a shipwreck. So my first feeling was that I was completely alone in the middle of the ocean. So the narrator feels that he was alone in the middle of the ocean. The ship plunged into an abyss. Plunge means to go down in water. വെള്ളത്തിലേക്ക് താണു പോവുക. Into an abyss. Abyss is a very deep hole that seems to have no bottom. അഗാധമായ ഗർത്തം. So the ship fell into an abyss and disappeared. I had no idea what was happening. So he did not know what is happening. ചുറ്റുമെന്ന് നടക്കുന്ന അയാൾക്ക് ബോധമില്ല. I took hold of one of the bobbing crates. Bobbing means quick up and down movement. So I took hold of one of the bobbing crates. What is a crate? A crate is a large shipping container made of wood, typically used to transport or store large, heavy items. So I took hold of one of the bobbing crates. The crate is a wooden thing in which the heavy things are kept. So it was a cargo ship. The ship which had gone down was a cargo ship. And in that ship there were a lot of things to keep this cargo. So they were floating because it was made of wood. It was floating on the sea. അത് മരം കൊണ്ടുണ്ടാക്കിയത് കൊണ്ട് അത് കടലിൻ്റെ മുകളിലുണ്ട്. കാർഗോ ഒക്കെ താഴോട്ട് പോയി. And stupidly began to contemplate the sea. Contemplate. Look thoughtfully for a long time. And I began to contemplate the sea. It was a perfectly clear day. It was a very clear day, except for the choppy waves, rough with small waves, produced by the wind and the cargo scattered across the surface. There was no evidence of a shipwreck. So there were choppy waves, small, rough waves, and the cargo scattered. Scatter means covering a wide area. ഒരു സ്ഥലത്ത് ഇങ്ങനെ പരന്ന് കിടക്കുക. So the cargo, it was a cargo ship. The cargo was scattered all across the surface. ഇത് കണ്ടാൽ മാത്രമേ തോന്നുള്ളൂ that there was a shipwreck. Otherwise, there was no sign of a shipwreck. Soon, I began to hear shouts nearby. Soon I began to hear shouts. So the sharp whistling of the wind. There was a heavy wind blowing. നല്ല ശക്തിയായ കാറ്റടിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. So it was like a whistling sound. I recognized, identified, തിരിച്ചറിയുക. I identified the voice of Giulio Amadeo Carabello. So I recognized the voice of Giulio Amadeo Carabello, the tall, well-built officer, well-built, very strong, who was yelling at someone, shouting at someone, Fatso, hold there. So he was shouting at someone. What was he shouting? Fatso, hold there. It was as if in that instant I had awakened from a moment's deep sleep. It was as if at that instant, at that moment, I had awakened from a moment's deep sleep. So, on hearing the sound of Carabello, it was as if I was getting up from a sleep. Carabelloയുടെ ഉറക്കെയുള്ള ഒച്ച കേട്ടിട്ട് ഉറക്കത്തിൽ നിന്ന് ഉണരുന്നത് പോലെ തോന്നി. It dawned on me that I wasn't alone in the sea. It dawned on me, dawn, understand. I understood one thing, that I was not alone in the sea. ഞാനൊരു കാര്യം മനസ്സിലാക്കി. What is it? I was not alone in the sea. ഞാൻ കടലിൽ ഒറ്റയ്ക്കല്ല. There, only a few meters away, my mates were shouting to one another and trying to stay afloat. There, only a few meters away. So a few meters away from the narrator, my mates means friends, were shouting to one another. They were shouting at one another, trying to stay afloat. They were trying to be floating on the water. They were trying not to go down the sea. കടലിലേക്ക് മുങ്ങിപ്പോവാതിരിക്കാനുള്ള ശ്രമത്തിലായിരുന്നു അവർ. Quickly, I began to think. I couldn't swim in just any direction. So quickly I began to think, what should I do? I cannot swim in any direction. I knew that we were about 50 miles from Cartagena. I knew one thing, that we were nearly 50 miles from Cartagena. Cartagena is the place, the port in Colombia. And they were going to that place. Our port, Cartagenയിലേക്കാണ് പോകുന്നത്. And it was 50 miles away from the accident spot. ആ അപകടം നടന്ന സ്ഥലത്ത് നിന്ന് 80 മൈലുകൾ അകലെയാണ്. So 1 mile is equal to nearly 1.8 kilometers, 1.6 kilometers. So they were nearly 80 kilometers away from Cartagena. But I was not frightened, but I was not afraid. For a moment, I thought I could hold on to the crate indefinitely until help arrived. For a minute, I thought one thing. I could hold on to the crate. What is the crate? The large wooden pieces which is used for carrying cargo. I could hold on for the crate. So he was holding a crate. ഒരു ക്രറ്റയും പിടിച്ചിരിക്കുകയാണ്. Until help arrived. It was reassuring to know that all around me, other sailors were in the same predicament, condition. It was reassuring. What was reassuring? That to know that around me there were other sailors in the same predicament. എൻ്റെ അതേ അവസ്ഥയിൽ there are other sailors also. There are sailors in the same condition in which I am. It was reassuring for me. Reassuring, giving him comfort, ആശ്വസിപ്പിക്കുക. Just think, you have not done your homework and the teacher tells who all have not done the homework to stand up. First you stand up. Then you look around and find your friends also. You feel reassuring, right? Teacher homework ചെയ്യാൻ പറഞ്ഞു, നിങ്ങൾ ചെയ്തില്ല. Teacher tells you to stand up. You stand up and you look around. ചുറ്റും നോക്കുന്നു. You find your friends standing up. സുഹൃത്തുക്കൾ എഴുന്നേറ്റ് നിൽക്കുകയാണ്. So you will feel a kind of a relaxation. You will feel, oh, thank God there are friends with me. Same is the condition with the narrator, that is Velasco. That was when I saw the raft. That was when I saw the raft. Raft is a small boat. So that was when I saw a raft. So when he was thinking that he was with other friends, he saw a raft. There were two rafts about 7 meters apart. They appeared unexpectedly on the crest of a wave near where my mates were calling out. It seemed odd that none of them could reach the life rafts. In an instant, one of the rafts disappeared from view. I couldn't decide. I found myself swimming towards the one I could see, which was moving further away from me. I swam for about 3 minutes. I lost sight of my raft momentarily, but I was careful not to lose my bearing. Suddenly, a rough wave pushed the rafts alongside me. It was a huge, white and empty. I struggled to grab the rigging and jump aboard. I made it on the third try. Once on the raft, panting, whipped by the wind, immobilized and freezing, I found it hard to sit up. Then I saw 3 of my mates near the raft trying to reach it. There were 2 life rafts about 7 meters apart. So he found 2 life rafts which were 7 meters away. They appeared unexpectedly, apradikshidamai, without expectation. They appeared unexpectedly, apradikshidamai, on the crest of a wave, top of a wave, near where my mates were calling out. So they appeared unexpectedly on the top of a wave from where my friends were calling for help. എൻ്റെ സുഹൃത്തുക്കൾ സഹായത്തിന് വിളിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. So the life raft appeared from there. It seemed odd, unusual, strange, വിചിത്രമായി തോന്നി, that none of them could reach the life rafts. It seemed strange that none of my friends can reach the life raft. In an instant, one of the rafts disappeared from view. In an instant, in a moment, one of the rafts disappeared. I couldn't decide. I found myself swimming towards the one I could see, which was moving further away from me. So I couldn't decide. But I found myself swimming towards the one I could see. Even without making a decision, തീരുമാനം എടുക്കുന്നതിന് മുമ്പ് തന്നെ, I found myself swimming towards the life raft, which was moving further away from me. And this life raft was going away from me. എന്നിൽ നിന്ന് അകന്നകന്നു പോവുകയാണ്. I swam for about 3 minutes. And I lost sight of the raft momentarily. For a moment, I lost sight of the raft. ഒരു നിമിഷത്തേക്ക് റാഫ്റ്റിനെ കാണാനില്ല. But I was careful not to lose my bearing. But I was very careful not to lose my bearings, direction. എൻ്റെ ദിശ തെറ്റരുത്. Suddenly, a rough wave pushed the raft alongside me. By my side. എൻ്റെ അരികിലേക്ക് കൊണ്ടുവന്നു. It was huge, big, white and empty. So the life raft was big, white and empty. I struggled to grab the rigging and jump aboard. So what did I do? I struggled to grab the rigging. Rigging is the handle. And tried to jump aboard into the life raft. I made it on the third try. On my third trial, I got inside the raft. മൂന്നാമത്തെ ശ്രമത്തിൽ ഞാൻ റാഫ്റ്റിന്റെ ഉള്ളിലേക്ക് കയറി. Once in the raft, panting. Panting means breathing heavily. When you run, how do you breathe? ഓടുമ്പോൾ ശ്വസിക്കുക എങ്ങനെയാണ്? So that is called panting. Whipped by the wind, immobilized, unable to move. I was unable to move and I was freezing. I found it hard to sit up. I was finding hard to sit because it was very cold. നല്ല തണുപ്പാണ്. Because he was in the water. കാരണം എന്താ തണുപ്പിന്റെ കാരണം? വെള്ളത്തിലായിരുന്നു. And there was strong wind. നല്ല ശക്തിയായ കാറ്റടിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. Then I saw 3 of my mates near the raft. At that time, I saw 3 of my friends near to the raft, trying to reach the raft. They were trying to reach the raft. Okay, now let's come to the questions and answers. What was the first impression of the narrator? He was utterly alone in the sea. Next one. Whose sounds did the narrator recognize? Carabello. Next one. What was Carabello shouting? Fatso, hold there. Next one. What dawned upon the narrator? He was not alone in the sea. Next one. How far was Cartagena from the accident spot? 50 miles. Next one. How many life rafts did the narrator see? 2. Next one. What seemed odd to the narrator? The rafts appeared unexpectedly from where his friends were shouting, but they did not see it. Next one. How was the life raft? Huge, white, and empty. Next one. How many attempts did the narrator take to get into the raft? Yes, how many attempts did the narrator take? 3 attempts. He made it on the 3rd attempt. Next one. How many narrator's mates were trying to reach the raft? Yes, how many mates? 3. Okay, now let's come to the assignment. Question number 1 to 3 of your textbook is a part of your assignment. Along with Velasco is surrounded by his friends in the ocean. Write down his feelings in a paragraph. So in the ocean, Kadalil, he is surrounded by his friends. തന്റെ സുഹൃത്തുക്കളാൽ ചുറ്റപ്പെട്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. So write down his feelings in a paragraph. So you write a paragraph about the feelings of Velasco when he is in the middle of the ocean.